Hello everyone, welcome to Narain's Life with MS. This is Narain and it's time for Truthful Tuesdays. And this Truthful Tuesday, I was actually thinking about something that, felt a little sad. And the reason for, this is because it's not like it's going to be permanent, but definitely when you are in, that scenario, when you're in sort of experiencing all of that, at that point it feels a little permanent. And, as much as you try to get over it or try to improve yourself so that you don't feel this way, it still happens. You still feel that way. And of course, one of the things that you can do, or that I do, is to try and think, happier things, especially when you are in that sort of place, because you know that you will get out of it, but at least for the time being, because you're pretty much there. I'm very sorry that my haircut makes it look like I have a mushroom on top of my head. um, that it definitely, sometimes you have to have that reality check. And today, the one thing I wanted to talk about was this idea of dependence, right? I think I've discussed this before, but the thing is, sometimes, and this does change from time to time. People, the funniest thing about MS is, it is an actual roller coaster ride. It's, you're never just going downhill. There are times when you are climbing up, there are high points, there are low points. But of course, there come times when you know that you are maybe closer to a dip, and sure, things are improving, but you definitely need that level of, that constant self affirmation that it is going to get much better, right? And the one thing that I did want to discuss today was about, independence, essentially. And the fact that, you know um, sometimes if certain things go unchecked, certain things go un you know unthought of, things can slip away very, very fast. When I think about, what I was doing a few years ago, what was actually possible for me a few years ago, I was still relatively happy with what I was able to do. Sure, I lived with my parents, but at the same time, I knew that, there, if I tried a little harder, I could probably become independent. uh, Financially, did not seem like it was probably the smartest thing, so I stayed put. But very soon something changed, and I definitely know it happened because, it almost felt like one day I didn't have a lot of things. I did not need to try very hard to, get out of bed, um, put pants on, or even, you know, take a shower standing up or take a bath standing up. But then that overnight thing happened, and suddenly I was on the other side. I was the one who literally needed support getting up from bed. um, Needed had to be the person who, you know definitely had to hold on to something to be able to, you know take a bath. Had to be that one person that, suddenly felt very tired, just waves and waves of um, fatigue just rolling over me. And I can almost say that maybe this happened over the course of a few days, a few weeks, a few months even, but it pretty much happened, and it was, very quick. So the one truth I did want to say about MS was, always have that reality check with yourself, right? I mean, a lot of times, one thing that sometimes I even used to do this, when I would go to, the um, the acupuncture doctor, and I would just tell the doctor that I feel like I am not able to experience anything in my toes, right? My toes have gone numb. And I kid you not, the doctor would just pretty much use one of the needles and just jab me in in the toes. And the funny part is, those things hurt. They definitely hurt. And so the doctor would say then that, no, you still have feeling in your toes, you're just not paying attention to it. And so when I talk about this whole notion of dependence and independence, the bigger point that I'm trying to make is always do a reality check with yourself. It doesn't have to be on a daily basis. You can do it maybe once a week, once a month, once in 2 months for that matter, depending on, how comfortable you feel in your body. But definitely do have that happen, because the one thing that your body does is it adapts to however you are functioning as a person. And before you realize it, there are going to be a lot of things that you will be forced to do without without realizing that you need all of those things. Very there was a time, I want to say around 2024, where I could barely walk 2 steps without support. At least it's gotten a little better since then, but at that point in time, I had not done that reality check that I was practically unable to walk. And when I realized that that was where I was heading, to the point that I needed to be carted around in a wheelchair for that matter, I suddenly realized that it is something so important to pretty much do on a regular basis, just so not only just to understand where you are, but also for that peace of mind, so that you have the ability to say that, okay, there are certain things that were happening maybe last week, last month, and they're not happening now, or there were certain things that I couldn't do um, that time frame, or back then, but I can do them right now. So regardless of which way the trend line is going, definitely do take that time, because you definitely owe it to yourself to understand where your body is at, right? I mean, a lot of times I still think of the times when I had the energy to do lots of things, right? I definitely had not only the energy, but I also had the light-footedness of being able to be very, very quiet when I walked, and so much so that I would actually like scaring people. Um, Obviously now, the way I walk, I'm pretty sure my neighbors 3 houses down this down the road can probably hear me, move from room to room. So a lot of things have changed over the course of very few short years, but at the same time, because now I engage in the practice of pausing every once in a while, taking a reality check, just asking myself where I am in the present moment, I am able to come to terms with where my body is, where the trend line is going, and whatever I am doing, is that the right thing to do, so that I can continue going upwards, or maybe I need to reevaluate it because it's going down. So that is one thing that I did want to share with you. I'm so sorry that I'm scratching my ear. My ears are just very itchy right now. But with that said, do share your thoughts, do share your insights, do share your experiences. If you do end up engaging in that kind of activity, that you so that where you are against your own um, little or big sort of rubric, right, of functionality, so that what you need to do next. But with that said, this is Naren Sai with MS. I am Naren. And of course, please do share your thoughts, your insights, your experiences, so that we can get a conversation started. And of course, after all that is said, here's me wishing you a good night, sweet dreams, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.